Foals are sometimes born friendly and confident and sometimes not. Over the last 20 years, I've developed my own approach on how to raise foals regardless of their initial temperament, reactiveness, and friendliness into young animals able to handle life with humans. At the core of my method is a step-by-step approach. I break everything down into small, gradual learning. I call the first phase of handling my foals the catch and release phase, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. And the first thing I do is set up a little pen, and I will only work in that pen for this phase. And what I do is that the mares will go in this little pen, this little enclosure. It could be a box stall, mind you, but I don't have a stall, so that's what I use. And what it does is that it keeps the mare and the foal contained. You do not want to be chasing the foal around in a big enclosure. You're just going to trigger their prey drive and their prey instinct rather. And they're going to be running away from you and getting all freaked out. So what you want to do is just hang around, get used to things. Of course, the mare is used to you. The mare is quiet and getting her food and usually pretty happy to just stick to eating her ration while you handle the foal. The foal here is it is 4 or 5 days old. This is the first time I'm going to start handling them. Of course, I will have dipped their umbilicus and they will have seen me before, but this is the start. So first, be careful of the kicking, and you will see how I will move the hindquarters away as I handle the foal to make sure that if there's a kick, I'm not at the end of it. So the first phase is literally that. I catch the foal. I always start by grabbing them from the chest by putting my hand in front of them. If they're a bit nervous, I push them back toward their mother because that's where they feel comfortable. Again, look, I grab by the front and I make sure that the hind end is away from me. Different foal, same thing. Probably the first time I'm going to touch that foal other than to treat its umbilicus or check it for a vet reason. The foal is 3 to 4 days old. I know my mares, obviously. I inseminate them, I ultrasound them, so being behind them is no big deal. Don't do that if your mare's not trustworthy, obviously. But the point is to go again to the front, grab the front, and then as soon as the foal relax, just be very gentle with them. The idea is to first get them used to your touch. They need to realize that it doesn't hurt. It might not be super pleasant at first. Here I am moving it so that it's against its mother. Same thing, especially the first day. They're very insecure, so push them back against their mother, and then you can crouch down, make yourself more look smaller and less threatening. But again, you want to touch them mostly on the chest and the shoulder. Avoid the hindquarters, the top of the neck, and the belly, because that will simply trigger a response, which is normal. They're prey animals, and if an animal, carnivore, was to attack them, that's probably where they would be at their most vulnerable. I find that the head, neck, and chest are usually pretty safe, even with the most reactive of foals, to being handled and caressed and touched very gently. Here she wants to go for a drink. It's probably a stressful drinking, and that's okay, but I'm walking away and no big deal. So that's a good first interaction. Here I'm going to try to go toward her. She will back away for sure because she's intimidated and doesn't know what I want, but I'm not going to chase her. I will go around and grab her from the chest. And again, if she's good, not fighting, I walk away. That's the catch and release idea. You catch, you have them release in your touch, and then you walk away. As the foal gets more comfortable with me, as you can see, this one is not avoiding me particularly. She's just used to the routine of me coming in, so I can touch her chest. She knows right away not to panic, and she stops and looks at me and go, oh, okay, you again. And I gently touch her, and I make myself small, but you know what? She's not that interested, and that's okay. That's fine. I'm not bringing her anything, and at this point, she doesn't understand what the point of all this is, and that's okay. And then I walk away. As long as there's no resistance, there's no fear, there's no panic, once I have touched them and handled them a bit, I walk away. This one again, being curious, but always hiding behind their mother. Make myself very small. They often come and smell your hair, And then once they're okay with me touching their chest, I'm going to be able to then grab the chest and then control the hindquarters, move with her. I'm actually not moving her right now, I'm just moving with her. And what she needs to learn is that despite the fact that she's trying to get away, she will not get away, in the sense that I will follow her and I will be gentle, but there is no getting away. So I'm not releasing until she relaxes. And right now she's fighting me. She doesn't want to be touched. She's uncomfortable, and I understand that. Here I'm trying to be on the other side of her, but she's very stiff with tension. Okay, here I am on the other side. She's resisting me because I'm touching her hindquarter, and she really objected to that. But on the other hand, I don't want to be kicked. So I'm making sure that I'm directing that hindquarter away from me and back to the chest. If they're really fighting, then I will just loop my hand like that, you see, and then they want to push into you. They don't know how to release the pressure. So generally this is just enough. I'm not even squeezing. I'm literally making a circle within which she stays. And when she eases the pressure, she stops pushing against me, I let her drink and I walk away. And woof, she is mad. But that's okay. They will turn around very quickly. So that's the idea of the catch and release. It's the touching and the handling and the releasing when they're quiet. And on top of that, making them realize that nothing bad happens. It's not painful. It might be against their instinct. It might be uncomfortable, but they need to get used to that because they're going to become domesticated horse that will be handled, and therefore they need to be used to our touch and being asked to do things that sometimes are a little bit against their instinct. At this point here with her, what I'm doing is I'm getting her used to having her face handled, because the next phase will be putting the halter on. The reason I don't put the halter at this point is because the foal has no idea what to do with the pressure on its face, and the humans, seeing a foal with a halter, the tendency is so strong to want to grab that as a handle, and that's terrible because they don't know what to do with it. You can put a lot of torque on their neck, and what's the point? They have no idea what's going on. You usually end up with a terrible fight. So I try to avoid putting the halter until the foal is completely comfortable with my touch. But that being said, I'm getting them used to having their face touched and handled, and nothing bad happens. And we do it until they are able to relax in my grasp, basically. This time that I spend with them, it will really depend. Some foals will get to this phase where they're okay with me approaching, they're okay with me touching them all over in a couple of days. Keep in mind that I do this twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. Other foals are very sensitive and they have very strong instinct of preservation, and I respect that, and I will take the time that it needs to get used to me and be comfortable with things. So for some foals, it'll be a week and a half. It rarely takes more than 2 weeks, to be honest. And so there's no rush. I mean, the foal is barely a week old when you start this. There is no rush. If the foal has to be treated by my veterinarian, then you will handle it a lot more anyway. But for a healthy foal, no rush. So here I am again, cradling her head. She realizes that nothing bad happens, and you can see she's not fighting me. Her eyes are half closed. She's a little bit annoyed with me in the sense that she'd rather do what she wants to do, but look at that tail. Super relaxed, no tension. So I leave her alone for a bit, and I brush the mare, and I get back to it. See, she barely moved. I just approached her, started touching her again, checking that she's fully relaxed, handling the head. I usually try to take a very zen approach. This is not about me. I don't take things personally. I just want the foal to be quiet and steady and accepting my touch. That's really all I'm looking for in this phase. Always important to do it from both directions. So here again, I change direction and I'm gonna go and touch her face. Same thing. Just cradle it, touch the ears. There we go. And she's perfectly fine, and that's the perfect time to just walk away. So by this point, I'm just about to put the halter on her here for the next phase. So we're in a different setting, so we're getting reacquainted with this particular pen. Same thing, grabbing her, grabbing the nose. Yeah, she's starting to tolerate the scritches. The folds sometimes take a couple of days because for some, the scratching is too much. It's sensory overload. So she's just starting now at around 7 or 8 days to be okay with it. So I can actually give her little scratches. But we're friends now. We're good and we're ready to move on to the next phase.